Hey Scott, how you doing? Sitting here reading up at some magazines. How's your day going? Oh, Dow Chemical, that's a good area. I go to that Yaya's Chicken in that Barnes and Noble once in a while. There was a chance they were going to move out of Midland, man. That place would have died. Hey John, how you doing? Party time, man. Been messing around with my photography a lot. Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't been to Mount Pleasant in a while. That's a pretty good casino they have there now. I hit at the casino last night a little bit. Any of you guys that play slot machines at casinos, I can give you a good tip on one you can clean up on. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the bird photo didn't turn out too good. If you look at the bird photo now, I'm sure I could have fixed that maybe in Photoshop. But that's the difference between that lens is like $1,600, which you'd think is a lot. It's not for a telephoto lens. Now, for another $8,000, I could have taken away that blurriness. That's what that lens costs when you don't have that issue. It's about $11,000, so it's just not worth it. And what I should have done is backed off a little, but I didn't. I just wanted to like max it out, and I paid dearly for it. Yeah, that bird looked like it might have had a right eye problem, but I talked to some duck hunters as I put in the description that ran into that bird later. It could have been sleepy too. That happens too. They're not that active in the daytime. So he could have just been half-ass opening his eyes just to keep an eye on me. But the photo was shit, really. I wasn't even going to upload it, but I get what I can, and I like birds, and even if it's not the greatest photo, I upload it anyway. Hey Mika, how you doing? Yeah, we're finally getting spring. Today I went down, took Daisy, and let her run around the Lake George, and I saw the biggest leopard frog, which is, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's the sign of a very healthy environment. And that's a spring-fed lake. So it was actually really nice to see. Big one, too. I didn't realize this. I'm not really into amphibians too much, but I ran into a guy that counts birds for a living. That guy that I ran into the other day in St. Ignace. And he had done a study on some kind of toad, believe it or not. Run into two guys that were specialists in toads in the last 2 months. And he said that any amphibian like that, like frogs, toads, that they're sensitive to the environment because everything's absorbed through their skin. And I never really looked at it in that kind of way, so I learned something. Hey, pretty peaches. So it was pretty interesting. There's also a swan way out in the lake that looked like it was sleeping on the ice. I hope so by itself. It was funny yesterday. I was out there. I spent a lot of time at Nyangkwing. You know, most of what I get, I don't even upload because it bore you to tears. But it was a big bird day, very loud, all sorts of cool birds flying around. And there was a hen, Canadian goose, that was just screaming her ass off out in the bay, going around in circles. And sure enough, about 45 minutes later, a big old male came flying, and he was squawking in the air way before he got to her. And it was really kind of cute to see. I have some good stills of it actually that I'll upload later. And that damn bird came hauling ass and got low and like just locked his wings out. And I was surprised he glided as far as he did. Then stuck his feet out and landed right next to her, and right away she quit squawking. So I don't know what the deal was with that, but he responded. Yeah, bird counter guy was working in the rain. Yep, he has a degree in what did he say that was in? It wasn't ornithology birds. It was something else. Maybe biology. Yeah, working in the rain. I'm telling you, they're. I mean, I have a passive interest in birds. You know, I raise birds commercially. I've always liked them. But I'm not a guy like that, and I'm like not even in the same ballpark with. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid, there's somebody out there that rather read a book on birds than a Playboy. And that was never me. I wanted the Playboy, and then I'd read about birds. No, I did not see that. No, I wonder why I'm not getting those notices on your videos. I'm going to have to go back in there. And I'm telling you, YouTube's been in the tank lately. That is one weird company. I mean, I think if you ever doubted it, you know now that I mean, if they want to send me money, that's great. But if they don't, it's not going to change anything I do. I mean, I know what makes that thing fly, and I've done the opposite. But I know I'm on their shit list. They'll lie and tell you I'm not, but they just don't want guys like me out interviewing prostitutes. No way. And they'll penalize the whole channel for it. Oh, that's cool, John. Oh, you should do that, Mika. That's a good idea. Yeah, that sounds fun. You ought to come on over to the United States. I'll take you. You can make me some Swedish meatballs. And I'll show you the Mackinac Bridge. Parakeets are cool birds. I actually had about 50 pair of plum-headed parakeets. I don't know if you've ever seen one. Gorgeous birds. They don't even look real. You know, they're along the lines as far as beauty as a wood duck. Oh, did you rainy days? Oh, no kidding. Yeah, I haven't seen pollywogs. I can't even tell you when. I'm waiting for my praying mantises to hatch. I got another order of ladybugs coming. Yeah, sometimes they do. Not very much, though. I mean, there's two kinds of people. People that think, you know, videotaping's cool. They want to do it, and they just haven't got around to do it. And people that think you're weird. Why you videotaping everything? Yeah, people do ask me. I'll run into people like out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I'm the only guy there most of the time. And they'll want to know, well, why are you out here videotaping? It's like, I like this stuff. I don't know why. Yeah, so I do it. I got, you know, a lot of interest and stuff. I'm glad I do. I don't know what the hell I'd do if I didn't like videotaping. I think I have almost 14,000 uploads. Man, if they'd have had YouTube around since I was a teenager, I'd probably have 1 million. I'm waiting any day for the boom YouTube, and they're gonna start wanting to charge you for uploads or some bullshit. Yeah. Probably will. Yeah, they do, especially when I'm in Detroit. wow, yeah, I'll check that. Why don't you post a link to it, Dave? Post a link to it right now. You can post a link as a moderator. Oh, you're posting it up tonight. Oh, okay. Yeah, post a link to that one too. You can post a link to videos as well. Yeah, well, party. You know, you see these headlights on these Blazers, and you think, how in the hell do they get that light to focus through such a small area? Well, I'll tell you, they don't. I had a friend of mine that bought one of these, and I had to drive it to go pick him up in the UP in the winter. Those headlights aren't worth a shit. That's a nice looking vehicle, but I'm telling you, they ride rough. The gas mileage isn't that great, and they're about $47,000. You couldn't give me one of those fucking things. And you look at that front end assembly, the way that turn signal and light comes in. I mean, you hit a paper cup and it's $5,000 worth of damage. Yeah, no, their server's huge. They have huge, just giant buildings all over the place. Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that, Coker. There's an element of truth to that. There's a guy I know that owns a collection shop here that's kind of old school. And he was showing me the front clip of one of these new F-250s. And he said it was basically like just cheap plastic. You know, they're selling vehicles now because of these federal mandates of fuel mileage. It's, you know, making them lighter, but they're and a product of that is making them much cheaper. We're really going to get this fuel, this gasoline, fossil fuel broke off in our ass someday. You haven't seen anything yet. It's just such poor planning. And I know a couple electrical engineers that have, you know, been doing this for 35 years. And basically, they've kind of hit the wall on electric vehicles. Now, if you live in LA and you drive a mile and a half down to your favorite Starbucks, you're going to love a Tesla because it's not the real world. But if you're a factory worker and you're driving 30 miles one way in Detroit, you're going to find that it takes forever to charge them. Those places are sparse and few between. They're also powered by fossil fuel plants. And you're going to have to make your choice in the morning. Do I want to get to work and back? Or do I want to get to work and back with the heater on? Because you're not going to be able to do all of them if it's about a 70-mile drive. Same with these god-awful wind turbine generators. That's political. It has nothing to do with saving energy. They're super inefficient. The carbon footprint is huge, and they trash thousands of birds and insects. They're terrible. Hey, Alphonse. Oh, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. I mean, I'm not saying there should be, you know, constant research for alternative energy. I get that, right? But water's pretty efficient. Wind is not. But they're really going to stick a test on this fuel one of these days. Europe's been getting fucked for 50 years. Yeah, you haven't seen anything yet. These girls are probably going to a meeting on how to meet men. You run into women my age and they pretty much say the whole thing. The same thing. How come there are no good men out there? There are good men out there. Hey Frisky, how you doing? Solar, no, not really. Depends on where you live. Now they're hawking these things on TV that everybody, and YouTube ads that solar, everybody thinks it's because of the sun. You're goddamn right it's because of the sun. If you have solar panels on your roof, it's much different if you're in LA than you are in West Branch, Michigan. Those are enough. The only reason they sell the ones that they do is because of tax incentives. None of that shit would sell. I mean, it's nothing at all like fossil fuels. Do they need to decrease fossil fuels? For sure. Wood burning is bad as well. You can tell the federal government, if you read between the lines, they're trying to stamp out wood burning too. A lot of people up here burn with wood. But solar, I mean, you could have a solar panel on the top of your roof. You couldn't power your wife's vibrator. I mean, it's not reality. Go into Harbor Freight if you have one near you and look at the solar panel, the biggest one they have, and look at the watts that thing generates. I mean, you have a hard time with a 6-foot solar panel lighting a goddamn flashlight. It's just not, I mean, I love the idea of it. It's just not reality. I think what these people need to do is turn these fucking lights off. You go over to somebody's house that's got a solar panel and every goddamn light on. You go by their house at night, their porch light's on. And as far as these cities lighting up all these roads and stuff at night, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So much power wasted. Yeah, no, I believe that, Dave. I believe that. I bet you can't run your air conditioner off your solar, though, can you? Hey, Anita. Anita, I was trying to get a hold of you. I came up there light pollution too. I came up there to visit you the other day, but you weren't working, and I didn't want to seem like a creeper and leave a message with you with your coworkers. Anita, I'll tell you why I was getting a hold of you, because I want to pay you back for your gas and your concert ticket on that concert you got robbed out of. I don't get any money anymore from YouTube, not much, but I did in the past, and I saved it all, and it was to do things on people that, got the shaft. And, I know where you're working, and I know you don't make a lot of money, and I would like to do that for you. And it really isn't my money, it's money that I got through uploading videos. Yeah, so tell me what your gas was and your cost of your concert ticket, because I know you only got to catch a half hour of it. Oh, cool, Dave. Anita Martini. That's a heck of an easy name to remember. Yeah, no problem, man. It's no problem. That had to have been disappointing. Another thing, too, you didn't bitch about it at all. I would have given you cash if I'd have seen you up there that day. I do that a lot. I mean, I could have called and all that stuff. It's just not how I am, If anything, I'll just make another trip up there. I love being up there. I got some good video of blue ice. I'll never be satisfied how many times I drive back and forth with the Mackinac Bridge. But to go all the way down there after looking forward to that and then having that bridge closure, and I was waiting for the bridge the same time you were. I got stuck on it both times. I got stuck in the St. Ignace side and I got stuck in the Mackinac side. Oh, stage name? Yeah, no, that's fun. I knew it would be something like that, but it is an easy name to remember. Thank you. Plus, you've come a long way with your lifestyle change and that bad habit you had. So it's for all those reasons, not just one. No, that's true. No, that's exactly right. It's true. I hardly ever stop at gas stations. I usually get gas in Gaylord, up there anyway. I usually tank up in Gaylord. And, they nail you about 35 cents extra a gallon of gas where you're at and anywhere near around Mackinac. So I usually have gas. And I'm not really a big pop drinker. I was kind of bored that day. That's how life is, though. It's like doors opening and shutting. You could win the Powerball, or you could get diagnosed with 4th-stage lung cancer. That's how everything is. You never know what's around the corner, good or bad. Yeah, I really like the bridge. I mean, $4, man. I always videotape when I go over there, and I love driving across it, especially when it's crappy weather. I'll tell you one thing, though. I mean, I was kind of thinking they were overreacting and being too careful with the ice falling off. But did you see the pictures of those vehicles where that ice came loose? And then after the second time I had to wait to come across. I paid better attention to going across the bridge. It's like, well, where is this ice? And, look around a little better. And sure enough, if you look at that big, like, pipe thing that goes all the way up to the top, and then you look at all those metal, 4-inch cables, yeah, I'm sure that's a big, huge problem. So, I mean, I think if you got just a pound of ice that came off the top of that thing and went through your windshield, and they get the hell suit out of them. So I'm not as I never thought they were shutting it just for the hell of it, but I wondered what criteria they used. And after I saw the pictures of those vehicles, it's like, yeah, okay, I think I'd rather be in the casino gambling. Yeah, Mackinac Island is a fantastic place. Not that it adds any credibility to it, but I know Bob Seger, Vince Vaughn, Ron Howard. There's a bunch of people, and when you think of the money they have and their wherewithal, and they still decide to buy a place on Mackinac Island. I've probably flown people up to Mackinac Island 1,000 times back in the day. I've been in and out of that airport so much. I'll tell you a funny thing happened to me. Well, not funny, but sad, actually. I had one girlfriend since I left my wife, and it was her. A dental hygienist in Chicago. So anyway, she knew I flew, and I didn't own any airplanes at the time, and she wanted to go to Mackinac Island, and I hadn't banged her yet, so I thought, well, this is a perfect time to take her up to Mackinac Island. So I got a hold of a buddy of mine. He said, yeah, you can use my airplane, that's no problem. So we did. We went to Ann Arbor, and we used his airplane. We flew up to Mackinac Island. Well, you get picked up by a horse and carriage at the airport. And on the way back to the airport, we're talking to these people, and it's an older guy, and he had like a younger girl that was like holding his hand. I thought, this is probably his mistress or something. And there were a bunch of other attractive young people, and I didn't know what they did at the time, but I knew that they were from down around Boca Raton, and I got a place down around there, West Palm Beach. So we got talking. I talked to the pilot quite a bit. He had about 10,000 hours, actually. He was a contract pilot out of Tampa, and they had a C-90, a Queen Air. Was that a Queen Air or King Air? King Air C-90. So we get talking, and, there's no control tower up there. You just announce your position, and actually, I let them take off ahead of me. They were making a long trip, and they were wondering where they were going to get fuel, so they took off ahead of me. I took off behind them. Then when we were in the air, we talked air to air, just chatted, because we didn't need to talk to any controllers for about 100 miles south. And then it's like, hey, wish you a safe trip, all that, blah, blah, blah. And that was the end of it. And about 3 days later, I didn't think anything of it. I had a buddy of mine call me down there, and he said, hey, they had a King Air crash at Palm Beach International, and it killed everybody. And it's like, I didn't really think too much of it. It's like, wow, that sucks, man. Because they weren't based out of Palm Beach. They were based out of Boca. Now, what I think happened is, I remember the pilot telling me that, as it turns out, he was a famous hair transplant surgeon. And he was banging his office manager, who was about 25. And the pilot told me he was a pain in the fucking ass. That he just didn't have it to be a pilot. He had a student pilot's license, and he always wanted to sit in the right front seat. And he was always suggesting weather and bullshit like that. And it's just kind of aggravating. You got the guy flying. So what they end up doing, they ended up taking off overweight. A lot of people do that. If you get away with it, nobody ever says anything, and a lot of people do it. I'm not suggesting it's the right idea to do. You burn the fuel off, and hopefully by the time you get to where there's going to be a problem, you're not planning on landing overweight. So anyway, they ended up tanking up on fuel in Pontiac. And what I think happened is, this happens a lot. When you go to Mackinac, if you're not in shape, or you're not used to riding a bike or walking, it wears your ass out. It's the same thing that happens to downtown Chicago when people visit. All of a sudden you're walking 3 or 4 miles, going up and down stairs, and you're not used to it. Mackinac Island's a perfect example. You see a lot of people up there that are just dead tired sitting on a chair. It's because you have to walk or you have to ride a bike or you're not getting around. So as it turns out, he was taking people from his hair transplant office in Manalapan, Florida, for a Labor Day thank you kind of trip. And they got gas in Pontiac, and then I'll bet you they were just tired as hell. And if you read the transcripts, I think what happened is on the way back, if you're in an airplane and you exerted yourself a lot, it's quiet, it's beautiful, the engines are humming, and you're tired as a motherfucker, it's easy to fall asleep. And that's what I think that happened. I think they planned on getting fuel again, and you can tell in the transcripts the guy woke up and declared emergency and was going to try and make it to one airport and ended up getting vectored to Palm Beach International. He only had about another 30 miles to make it to his home base. That's it, 30 miles. So they ended up declaring an emergency, and they ended up shooting an approach into Palm Beach International. It was VFR. So, he had that going for him, which means you weren't on instruments. And the engines ended up quitting, ran out of fuel, and the right rear landing gear, just caught the tip of a commercial pool, like built-in pool, warehouse that was on airport property. The airplane ended up cartwheeling over, flipped upside down, then crashed short of the runway, and it killed all 13 of them. That was September of 1998. Yeah, you can look it up. Palm Beach hair surgeon. But those were the people that we were talking to. And, we didn't know what they did. I give the guy credit. He didn't say to me, hey, buddy, I'm in the hair transplant business. For about $8,000, I could give you a head of hair like Ringo Starr. I never said a word. So I guess it was his day off. But it killed every damn one of them. Hey, Jeff. Yeah, it just goes to show you, man. I've had that happen more than once where I've been someplace talking to somebody. I was down at Sun and Fun one time, which is a big air get-together thing in Florida. And there was a famous pilot. Bulldog was his name. Actually kind of looked like me, lucky son of a bitch. And we were standing in line to get a hot dog, and he had like a outfit on. I knew he had something to do with performance, but I was never into aerobatics that much. So I get talking to him. It's like, hey, how you doing? It's like, good. It's like, my name's Tom Reed. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm Bulldog, whatever his name was, Jim something. And this guy, he was a world champ. I mean, this motherfucker had balls the size of goddamn basketballs. I mean, how these guys do this shit. Aerobatics scared me. I didn't like it, and I got sick all the time. And he was telling me, so we got in a really interesting conversation about when you tear that airplane down for its annual inspection, do you find much? And he said, fuck yeah. A lot of the wing spars are cracked, all sorts of shit. He said, it's definitely mandatory. And he told me on his last rebuild, they had like 9 wing spars cracked, which is just nuts. I mean, if you had a wing spar cracked in a regular airplane, you'd be like thinking if you'd ever wanted to fly again. Here, this guy had 9 of them. And it was from pulling those hard G's. And about a month later, he smacked the ground. It was I think it was in Cincinnati or Columbus, and got killed. Yeah, I'd run into quite a few guys. I went to when I first moved down to Florida in 92, I was building a house in Buena Vista, and I kept an airplane at Kissimmee. And I got invited to a private air show. And the reason that happened, not air show, but a private party before the air show, I kept my airplane in a place where the guy was friends with the same CPA I've had for 40 years. So he said, hey, we're going to have a private party. All the famous people were there. The French Connection, Bob Hoover, the Red Baron pizza people, all sorts of cool shit. And it was so fun. Everybody got fucked up. It was fun. Bob Hoover, I talked to him for about a half hour. Well, anyway, the Red Baron, they ended up crashing about a year later, killed a couple of them. And French Connection ended up crashing about 6 months later, killed both of them. And it was funny when we were there, they had a demonstration of a Harrier jet, the jump jet that goes straight up vertical. And we're watching the demonstration, and it just so happened that the guy was from Kissimmee, the guy flying it. So we're sitting there watching the Harrier, it goes up and down, it can land like a helicopter. And you see this thing roar by, black smoke coming out. It's like, this is cool as hell, man. This guy must be going through 2,000 gallons an hour. And he's doing rolling upside down, all sorts of cool shit. And then it comes, to the big part of the show where he's going to land this thing vertically. Sure enough, he comes roaring through the sky. The nose pitched up. The airplanes start slowing down. He's got his nav lights on. You got a blinking, rotating red light on the bottom. And he stops in the air. He's maybe 50 yards up in the air. Louder than hell. You got to plug your ears. It's coming down, coming down, coming down. And I'm thinking to myself, when is this fucker going to put the gear down? He forgot to put the fucking landing gear down. I saw this happen. Coming down, coming down, coming down. Crunch. It smashes the nav lights on the bottom, so there's no blinking light anymore. He floors it, jumps up in the air about 25 feet, puts the gear down, and then lands. This is crazy. Hey, Tammy. Hey, Pug. Yeah, I've had such weird shit happen to me. Like, I guess everybody has if you go to enough air shows. I was at Oshkosh one time, saw a guy crash a Corsair. They had some volunteers waving people. When you're in those big warbirds, the nose is up so high. Until you get like near flying speed, you can't push the nose over to see out the front. If you watch these old P-51s and all these, they give it the gas slowly. You can't do it full throttle all the way. It'll torque you right off the side of the runway. But it's a ways down the runway before they push the nose over and they can see. And just as this guy ends up waving these planes, well, as it turns out, the planes ahead of them were not waved. So they're just sitting on the runway. I'm sitting there watching this shit, and all of a sudden, you see him push the nose over, and I'm thinking, these guys are going to hit these planes. One guy jams right pedal as hard as he can, kind of spins around the side, clips the wing, and goes off into the grass. The other guy ended up taking off a wing, part of the vertical stabilizer, rolled upside down. But when it hit the ground, it ejected him. I thought he was burned crisp. I didn't see him fly out of the plane, even though I was right there. But he's a quadriplegic now. There's a YouTube video on him. A hell of a good guy. There was some dyke that was a female air show performer that married him so he could have medical coverage, which I thought was really a stand-up thing to do. Yeah, there's a YouTube. Look at Corsair crash Oshkosh. That would have happened around 1993, 94. It's on YouTube. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, you just see stuff like that. I've told two people before in my life. I almost crashed an airplane coming out of Gaylord one time. I think it was part to do with a mag, but deep down, I think it was me fucking up and not calculating density altitude. I had my wife and her big fat girlfriend in the back and a dog. She had a puppy, and it was a hot, humid day, and that was when I had an older Tri-Pacer. And they didn't have performance charts, but I knew I'd been in situations just like that. I thought I had been, but you know what? I think it was hotter than I thought. It was blowing like a motherfucker, about 30 miles an hour. And I thought, well, I'll take off on this 5,000-foot runway and turn to the north as soon as I can, and I'll just, go around and do a 270 and head south. I never got going fast enough to turn north. I barely cleared the fence at the end of the runway and almost hit a semi-truck going down I-75. I had full power and barely stayed in the air. And I flew to West Branch, where I'm at now. Did a straight-in runway, and the next month I went out and bought a Cherokee 6 with an IL 540 300 horse. Scared the hell out of me. But I almost bought the farm on that one. But sometimes shit happens and you just, it was just a bunch of stuff came together. Now, if I had had a newer airplane, I would have calculated the density altitude. And I would have thought, hey, the density altitude shows that you need 500, 635 feet to get this motherfucker off the ground. And you don't have that. Forget the wind. Yeah, I barely made it. That was the only close call I had in an airplane. It scared the holy hell out of me. I was shaking so bad when I landed, I couldn't even get the keys, hardly pull the keys out of the keyhole. Oh, wow, Dave. Oh, thank you, Anita. So, yeah, shit can happen. It's also that same kind of thinking that kept me from riding motorcycles. I had two guys that I was friends with in high school get killed. And then I drove an ambulance for a year. And I thought to myself one day, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. I just saw too many guys. The one that really did it for me was a guy with a PhD in computer engineering. And back then, those were hard to find. And he was an instructor at the University of Michigan. It was when Fortran and COBOL and all those original programs. And he was splattered all over the goddamn concrete. That was a slow ride back I went to the coroner, not to the hospital. And I thought, you know what, there's just too many smart people getting taken out in these motorcycles. I'm not riding them anymore. Now, if you're a Christian and you think, well, when God picks your time to go, you'll ride motorcycles. I'm not a Christian, and I don't think that way. And with me, it's entirely based on probabilities. I kickboxed for a long time. Really, I didn't get hit that much. You're fighting farther away. It's not like boxing. No problem there. Skydiving did that for about 15 years. No problem there. It's calculated risk. It's actually relatively safe. And it got safer as better chutes came out. Flying an airplane, super safe. Riding a motorcycle, not doing it. That's true, Dave. Yeah, it's just, if you look, I tell people all the time, people want to argue. I say, look, I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just telling you that the data's there. Go talk to an emergency room. I ride leather. I'm defensive. I really watch. I go in the morning before. Yeah, I know all those things. Yeah, I got it. But you're on two wheels, and you're ejected into the sky when you collide with something. And that is not something I want to do. My personality, I would love a motorcycle. I would love to have a 9,000 horsepower twin turbocharged motorcycle that I could lay rubber for 100 yards and pop a wheelie for another 100 and head up to Mackinac and go across the bridge and worry about splattering my brains in the middle of it someplace because of someone crossing the center line. I would love a motorcycle. I would love to take it down to Hilton Head, but I'm not doing it. No, don't do it, Anita. It's people go on YouTube, man. I mean, if you're thinking of getting a motorcycle, just go on there and look at motorcycle accidents. Now, someone that's going to ride, regardless, they're going to say, well, that you can get killed anywhere. That's true. But the level of injuries are like night and day. Yeah, no, but let me tell you, it was one heavy-duty, serious accident after another when I was driving an ambulance. Almost every motorcycle wreck that I drove to during the course of that summer, these people were fucked up, man. This wasn't a fender bender. I mean, they flew off that fucking thing and rolled down the highway for 100 yards, going through windshields. Yeah, I thought, not doing it. I'm careful with my kayak, too, on that. There's all sorts of places where, I'm not the greatest swimmer in the world. And even if you can swim, if the water's 42 degrees, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be around long either. I ran into two guys that were actually pretty sharp yesterday that were in these fishing boats with these converted engines so they could go around in 6 inches of water. with like a 13-foot drive shaft. I'm gonna upload some still pictures of it. Pretty cool, really. But I see idiots all winter long wherever I go. Yeah. No, Thailand. Yeah, no. I mean, those. It's just like India with boats and trains. If we have a train and somebody sprains their ankle here, it's on the front page of the news. Over in India, it's like these ferries roll over, 3,200 dead. Fucking train falls off the tracks and collides with another train. How do two trains collide? Will somebody explain that to me? You got one track and two trains going the opposite way. There isn't some mechanism along the way, whether it's a monkey that gets a peanut when he notices what the human should notice. I mean, anything. How do two trains run into each other on one track? No, I got two really good kayaks. Anita. One, you couldn't tip it over if you wanted to. And another one that I really enjoy more than that one. I got a Hobie, and then I've got another one. They're fun as hell. The Straits are all right. It's just, they recommend in any of those cold water places that you use a sea kayak, the kind that kind of you have a seal around your torso, and if you tip over, you can like right yourself. That's what they recommend for the Great Lakes north of Mackinac. You see that couple from down below drowned back in September up at Pictured Rocks, and they were just asking for it. Not only did they not understand weather, it looks like they didn't read it or do any due diligence before they left, and it drowned them both. She had just retired, and I guess that was her boyfriend. Deader than a doornail. They found him the next morning, stiff as a board, floating. Lake Superior and kayaking. If it was along the shore, I would do it. When I go up to Sault Ste. Marie, I see a couple old guys in kayaks, and I just don't believe they know what they're in for. I would do it with a wetsuit already on. Yeah, you're still here, hey punk. Yeah, kayaking's fun. Honestly, a lot of that stuff. I mean, people say, do you like camping? Not really. Do you like kayaking? I do for about an hour. I'm not one of these guys that's going to take a week-long kayaking trip. Ain't happening. No way. Yeah, no, people up in Mackinac, man. 23% of fatal water-related accidents have alcohol involved. Yeah. Which makes sense. You get drunk, you do stupid shit. Yeah, I can't imagine anything worse other than falling through the ice in the Straits. I think I'd carry a pistol with me just so when I fell through I could blow my head off so I didn't suffer. This guy was telling me last night on these rescues they do down in Linwood. His dad's a part of the volunteer fire department. And he said most of the rescues down there are done by the volunteer fire department because the Coast Guard takes too long to get there. I thought that was interesting. No, that'd be fun. Yeah, I really like Mackinac. I like Mackinac. I like Sault Ste. Marie. It's cool how you can just be up in the Sioux in like 45 minutes. You ever eat a fish dinner at the Driftwood Hotel, Anita? It wasn't that great of a fish dinner. I met Kevin there for lunch last time, and it was kind of fishy. Yeah, getting stuck under the ice, forget that. There's these crazies that scuba dive under the ice. Not for me, man. I can't swim that good. We had down when I was living in Florida, when a hurricane or something like that came in, every surfboarder and water surfer fucker in the world went out in that water. So I went and got one of these life survivor. I wanted to experience it, to tell you the truth, like hurricane, at rough water. So I went and bought like this survival life jacket, like something that you'd have on one of those America's dangerous jobs like crab fishermen. So I go put this thing on. The water was warm, but it was super rough. A hurricane was coming, right? And I went out there in that goddamn thing and hooked myself to a pier and just jumped in the water. I had rope. And, I'll tell you one thing. If I hadn't, the water was warm. You could have lasted a long time. But I realized that had I not done that, I would have been definitely carried out to sea for sure. I got at the end of my 50-foot rope, and that thing would have just kept on taking me out and south. And that was enough of that. But I convinced myself that there's no way I would have been able to outswim that. It's a fun experience, though. Yeah, I thought I was really going to like that Ice Road Truckers, but it was so fake. Yeah, you like living up there, though, don't you, Anita? Today, I used to come here all the time. Actually, I'm friends with the owner of this place, Tim Hortons, West Branch, where I live. My sister used to own that McDonald's over there. She was the first single female to own McDonald's franchise. We're getting a new Starbucks where those trucks are over there. I want to bring back the old days of paying $8 for a coffee. Anita, I can mail that to you, or I'll be up there in the next week or two. Whatever you want to do is fine with me. Hey, Anita, you probably have some contacts up there. Long story short, I get around, and I have no agenda with my channel. And I'd like to think that when I see like indiscretion or someone getting a raw deal or want to tell their story, I give them a chance to do that. And actually, I took a trip out west a year ago, September, just basically to interview Native Americans and blah, 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 and how they've been hosed and how reservations are not equitable considering what happened and blah, blah, blah. So if you ever know of any like situations where I could interview Native Americans, or there's something that they wanted to explain that they don't get a chance to do, I'm all for it. You're not staying forever? Yeah, you're still too young to be in a little town like that. Yeah, only if it comes to you. Don't force it. If you hear of a thing and you're older than I think? Nah, you're not that old to be stuck there for you're not old enough to throw in the towel yet and live in St. Ignace till its tits up. Yeah, I know what you mean. If I was, I can remember coming up here. I started coming up here in '78 when she opened that store, and I remember thinking there is no fucking way I could live here. Well, here I am, going on my 10th year, but I'm an older guy now. You know, it's working. You know, I went from strip clubs and porno movie theaters to bird watching. So this is a perfect place. Yeah, no, I mean, I had my problems when I came up here, and I really didn't have any place to go. I had a non-compete, and I'd sold a business, and I thought I had a sister that was losing her business because of a spoiled brat kid she'd raised, and that was about the only choice I had at the time. Other than that, I was just going to kind of spin a wheel. That's what happened when I went to Chicago. I mean, I couldn't go to Michigan. I had a non-compete. I hated Florida. I didn't want to go to the East Coast. I didn't want to go to the West. It's like, fuck it. Maybe I'll try Chicago. So I moved there. I didn't know anybody. Got a one-way ticket. Yeah, it was the best idea ever, yeah. But you know how it is, Anita. Better is subjective. I mean, you're better because you got over a bad habit. But, I mean, the social life's kind of iffy, and you're kind of limited on culture. I mean, you know how it is. Same thing I go through. I mean, you got to drive 200 fucking miles to see a concert. But it's still working for you, and you got the biggest goal out of the way. Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, you're not going to find everything everywhere. If you could, I'd be there already. Like now, I go visit my, I should be in Hilton Head right now, in this gated community, but I'm just not really into it. I find excuses not to go. Nobody works. It's all these rich people. You're on the beach. There's nobody there. It's like, fuck. This place sucks. Gotta wait in line to eat dinner everywhere. I mean, sometimes I just want a chili dog. I will say this. For Hilton Head. It's like, I'm big at fucking around with photos and stuff like that. And I met a lot of well-spoken, cultured, educated, very polite people. I mean, when I'd be out on the beach in the morning, I'd see people sometimes, not a lot, and you'd talk, and it was very nice. Ann Arbor's like that too. Let me give you, this is a litmus test I use. You go down to a shitty place around Detroit, you go to a movie theater, you hear fucking cell phones going off, people talking, you name it. You can't even pay attention to a movie. You go to a place like Hilton Head or Ann Arbor, even though it's loaded with a bunch of college kids, you could hear a fucking pin drop in the movies. Why? Because people are smart, they have etiquette, and it's just a different group of people. They know that when you're in there watching a movie, you're not supposed to be on a goddamn cell phone or talking. And I like that part about it. It's civilized. It's people that are cultured and educated, and I'm not saying that's everything, but it's nice to be around people that know how to behave. No, I don't take Daisy anywhere where there's a chance of a gator getting Daisy. No way. I don't take her near any water, nothing like that. And you would see a downside of my mental health if a gator ever ate Daisy. I would kill every fucking one of them in the whole state. A good idea? Probably not. Is every gator considered guilty? It would be for about a half hour in my mind. Yeah, it's not the gator's fault. It's not the gator's fault until he kills my sweet Daisy. And then that gator's in big trouble. Everybody on my YouTube channel would have a gator purse, gator shoes. Oh, yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, I think I could really go off the deep end. I'd probably be on Unsolved Mysteries if somebody kidnapped Daisy and I got a hold of them. Yeah, but at least you got rid of him too, Anita. And what's that worth? I'm not saying it was a fair trade. Well, I think I'm gonna sign off here, you guys. I gotta catch up. I'm gonna start doing this. I'm learning Photoshop and Lightroom. I'll tell you why I'm doing it too. I mean, I like animals and birds, but I don't want to spend a lot of time sitting out there trying to get the picture of a fucking bird. I mean, I like it. If one lands on the wire, I'm gonna take this picture, but I'm not staying out there in a tent eating saltines trying to catch two rare sparrows fucking on a wire. It's not happening. But I'm getting into this high dynamic range photography, Lightroom, and I'm going to start doing. I did astrophotography a long time ago, but it wasn't with digital cameras, so I'm catching up on that. Do a little of that. It's pretty limited though. I mean, you've seen one, you've seen them all. Oh, you mess around with Photoshop? Are you into photography then? I'm assuming, Anita, or do you use it for like other things? You have a good day, Anita. Yeah, send me that email. Whatever you want to do, I'm fine with. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I just bought two new Sony 1-inch mirrorless cameras. People think, oh yeah, you're bragging, you're getting these cameras. Nah, not really. I mean, these cameras were $3,000 each 5 years ago. I got the R, I got the 7 and the R, and one's for low light and one's high mag. It's just something different. I got one for 900 and another one for $1,000, so that's not that bad. I got the conversion so I can use my Nikon lenses, but I also have the Sony lenses too. Now, once in a while, I'll spend what I think is a ridiculous amount of money for a lens, which I did on the 105 or 90 macro. I haven't used it that much for that Sony mirrorless, and that was $2,000. That was the cheapest I could get it. And my Nikon stuff was kind of expensive, but you want to see some expensive cameras, man. I mean, this stuff's cheap. Go look at what they get for these Leica M10 and M11s. Fuck that. All right, thank you. You have a good day today, Pug. You party on. Find that inner peace. I'm watching these herring gulls out here, looking for something to eat. I buy them a plain donut. They get pissed here that I feed them, but they can't do shit because that lot's owned by the new McDonald's owner. I'm friends with him, actually. You guys want to watch me throw a couple donuts to the seagulls right now? Make their day? These. I mean, I shouldn't say this, but some of these people that work here are just so fucking ignorant. They get at me about feeding these seagulls. I tell them to shut the fuck up. I like feeding birds. I mean, give them a little break. Big fucking deal. The donut's gone in like 10 seconds. I like these birds. Birds just want a little snack. Some blackbirds out there too. I'm gonna buy them a couple plain donuts. Oh, it looks like they took off. They're great flyers. I'll feed them a couple nice donuts. Maybe I'll get him a box of donuts. Well, they all flew away as soon as I said that. Except that one sitting on top of the pole. You see this one sitting on top of the pole? Well, you guys have a good day today. I'm going to buy him a box of donut holes. See you, Pug. Anita. I don't know if this damn thing is still working.